And welcome in, everybody. Welcome back here to the Two Guys and Beer podcast and the Two Guys and Beer studio. Glad you could join us for the broadcast today.
Rocking and rolling.
Andy Beckstrom, Sean Field, once again, your hosts for the Two Guys and Beer podcast, where we talk about beer and talk about whatever else.
Pretty much. Whatever else we feel like talking about for the day.
Anything that's out there. So if you have a topic you'd like us to talk about, throw that out there too. Comment on our different pages and say, what are your thoughts about this? Sean, what are your thoughts about that?
Thoughts about everything.
I like it. That is
little this, little that.
Exactly. See, it's that deep type of connection that we can get for you, just like that.
Have you ever heard of a thought like that? You know how it is. I was thinking what you were thinking. You were picking up what I was putting down. I used to say that. I used to say that all the time. He's like, "You picking up what I'm putting down?" He's like, "No, grab it and put it down." Like just. I remember.
So today,
what are we drinking
on
today?
Today's episode, we're gonna go a little. I mean, the name is going to kind of follow with us or whatever, but the beer itself, the flavor is going to go a little bit off the rails for what we usually do. And we did this a couple weeks ago, or a couple episodes ago, I should say. I don't remember when we recorded it, but it was a couple episodes ago with the Dragon's Milk, where we went kind of down the other path of a different type of, wasn't an ale, wasn't an IPA, wasn't the same, kind of stuff that we usually do. We've also been heckled by potential people within our own lives that all you do is just the one kind of beer. I'm like, no, we're talking about the breweries here, but now we're getting off the beaten path. So get off my back. We're trying some different stuff.
We're getting a variety going on here. We're getting beer cultured with other styles of beer.
Exactly. So we're trying some different stuff. So what we have today is Abita Brewery, Abita, Abita Brewery. It is out of Covington, Louisiana.
I like Louisiana. I've been down there a couple times. I haven't been to Covington, but I've been to New Orleans. It's fun place.
Just north of New Orleans, as they say. I probably didn't say it right. So if you're from there, I apologize. I should not have even tried there. But it is if you take the causeway across the giant lake there from New Orleans going north there, you'll initially, when you get back to land on the north side, Lewisburg, Chinchuba, Mandeville, and then just north of there, if you keep following that 190, you end up in Covington.
Perfect. That seems like a great place to stop.
So Covington is kind of right there on the west side of 190. If you were to go to the east side of 190, though, then you would actually end up in Abita Springs, and we'll come back to that here in just a little bit. So
perfect.
That'll be more information about that, coming up in a little bit. But so Abita Brewery is what we're talking about today, again, out of Covington, Louisiana. And the beer that we have today was suggested to us. It is the Andygator.
There we go.
So
Andygator, right
that's where we end up getting in there. So that's what has brought us to this or whatever. It is 8% alcohol by volume, 12 ounce in a bottle. It is a Helles Doppelbock.
There we go.
And we'll talk a little bit in a few minutes here about what kind of beers a Doppelbock. You actually just go ahead and talk about that right now. So just so that
fire it up.
A Doppelbock is a part of the Bock tree, if you will, of German type of beers. Usually
Sebastian Bach. That's what I first think. It has nothing to do with beer, but
that's true, and
whatever.
That's BACH.
Right.
This one is spelled like the town Bach, which
is right over yonder.
Careful, it is over there. I've been there to that city. Careful. It is a German beer, usually a dark lager, spelled the same.
Okay.
Completely different deal. It was first brewed in the 14th century in a town of Einbeck in Lower Saxony. Later adopted by Bavaria and Munich brewers in the 17th century, and due to their Bavarian accent, citizens of Munich pronounced Einbeck as Einbach.
All right.
Or a billy goat, which was a little less exciting, but that's how it was pronounced.
Well,
and thus it became a Bach, and often, not on this one, but often a goat appears on bottle labels because of the name, a billy goat from the Einbach.
Oh, okay.
It's a little bit of history lesson that we're going down the road here. This one does not have a goat on it. This has a gator. Presumably his name is Andy. Out there.
Such a great name.
But it is typically associated with special events, religious festivals, Christmas, Easter, things like that. Long history of being brewed and consumed by Bavarian monks as a source of nutrition during times of fasting.
Okay.
We'll even go down the nutrition route a little bit later on there. That's called the tease in the biz there, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about that a little bit later,
I've read somewhere that monks, when they fasted, they drank beer for that, and it helps with the digestive system and things like that, and they actually lose a lot of weight and become fit and all sorts of stuff. I don't have the exact details in my head, but I've read briefly about how they would fast, and what they would drink, of course, would be beer. So it's kind of interesting.
So you're saying that I'm not drinking enough of it?
You probably should drink a little bit more.
Okay, that sounds right. So the different sub-styles of a bock is a Maibock, which is a paler, hoppier one. The Eisbock, which is a stronger version that is made partially by freezing the beer and then removing the ice that formed. So you're actually taking water out of the beer that was there.
Interesting.
Weizenbock, which is a wheat bock. And then what we have today, the Doppelbock, which is a double bock, a stronger and maltier version.
All right.
So that's kind of what we're going with today. So a little bit, I'm not going too terribly. I could go, there's a whole paragraph, and by paragraph, I mean like 9 paragraphs of the history and all sorts of different stuff or whatever with that. But we'll hold off on that for now. So that's kind of a rough history there of just the bock and, kind of what's going on with that. So from there, we will just go into the beer now. What do you think?
Perfect.
So did you get after that?
As we get cracking open into this Andygator beer, I just want to give a shout out to our tech guy. Our tech guy is the reason we have Andygator. All our videos that you're watching on YouTube, all our reels, it's the tech guy. He's making them all. We appreciate all his hard work. So this is directly from tech guy. Here we go.
MVP chant can be, I'll let him add that in there. MVP. So now the best part of the podcast every single time.
Let's go.
There we are. Pop the top on another episode.
Andygator. Here we go.
Like, it looks clear, but it tastes heavy.
It's kind of sweet. I think it kind of has a sweet taste to it.
It is. I
don't know if it tastes like you, though, Andy. Not that I've ever tried what you
careful,
tasted like.
Careful.
But it is definitely, it has a sweet flavor to it. What does the bottle say? Does the bottle say anything special?
It doesn't. It says a little bit here on the back. Andygator is a fearsome beast. So
there we go.
naturally, like me,
you're so beastly, Andy.
Don't let his toothy grin, slightly sweet flavor, so you nailed it there, and subtle fruit aroma fool you. This cold-blooded creature is a hellish Doppelbock that can sneak up on you. This unique high-gravity brew is made with Pilsner malt, German lager yeast, and German pearl hops. Sip, don't gulp, and taste the wild of Abita Andygator.
All right.
So that's kind of the background of that one. So that's kind of what we're doing here. But we're talking about Abita Brewery is the going to be the brewery that we're talking about today. It is in Covington, but as we will learn, Abita Springs plays a strong role.
Perfect. What's your initial impression of the beer? I think it's decent.
Mm-hmm.
I guess can't describe it too well. It does taste a little sweet at the beginning. The aftertaste is a little different.
It's a little. It almost seems a little heavy, in a way, but it does have that sweetness to it. So I do like the taste. I don't know on the old lawnmower scale that we've talked about before.
Right.
I think it'd probably be the 1. I don't know that I would even necessarily do it maybe after mowing the lawn,
Sure.
with a steak. Like having that.
I can see that if you eat something good with this to bring out more of the flavors and stuff. Yeah, this is definitely a beer you want to drink for the flavor and the taste and get all of it in for sure. Yes.
Yeah, and as it says, I mean, sip, don't gulp. So it's definitely not a pounding kind of beer, which is good. You know what I mean? You got to have that type of variety within your life. So, yeah, it's pretty solid. I mean, it's good. It tastes good. You know, I was a little unsure. I won't lie, tech guy. I was, the Andygator, like I was totally in, 100% in, but you never really know what you're going to get when you pick a name based on, the name and you don't know what the style is. So it could have been any number of things or whatever, but this is pretty good. So
since your name is on it, would you brew something that tastes like this? Would this be something that you would concoct, you think, with your name on it? Like, yeah, that tastes like me.
See, I feel like I don't know that I necessarily would, because I don't have a lot of like German background, and that's not like the German Bock type of, like the Bavarian type of, malty beers, a little bit, but not a ton. There's a couple of breweries nearby that have a lot of those, and there's, maybe one or two that I kind of like, but it's not my favorite type of flavor.
Sure.
I guess to a certain extent. I'm not saying it's bad. That I don't want to ever say that it's bad, because that's one of the things that it always kind of drives me nuts. People are like, they go to a brewery and they try one and they're like, oh, this brewery is garbage because whatever. And I'm like, okay, maybe you just don't like a Maibach. How about you try a lager?
Right.
So it's hard to say. Like I don't ever want to say that necessarily, but like just that type of, a lot of those Bavarian German type of flavors aren't necessarily, and maybe I just haven't developed into that. Maybe that's what it is. But you know what? I'm willing to throw myself on the altar of brewing and Two Guys in Beer podcastness, and I will volunteer, if you would like to join me, to go to Germany later this year to try to really soak in the essence of German style beers right from the source. What do you think?
I am totally on board with that, and we talked about that during our Oktoberfest episodes. And for all you viewers out there and listeners out there, that's actually reality. We're actually going to Germany at the end of September, beginning of October. We will be attending Oktoberfest. We'll have some live video there. We probably won't record a show there, but I've got some things Andy and I will set up. We'll maybe ask some Germans or anybody else that shows up questions. Just like go up to, hey, you want to do an interview? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? Some live video, some live photos. It'll be a good time over there. So we'll definitely. That is Bavaria area, isn't it? Munich, isn't that the Bavarian area?
Yeah, it should be. It should be a blast. So, no matter what we do. But we're gonna go to the actual Munich, the OG Oktoberfest that we talked about. We won't be there on day one necessarily, but we've also been told, and I think that we actually talked about it on that podcast, that you don't want to go on that day,
right? Because
you have to wait until the mayor decides he's good and ready to show up to open the first keg, because otherwise you get thousands and thousands, and when I mean thousands, like 150,000 people standing there waiting for a beer. Well, even if they open it up, you're still going to be 2 hours before you get a beer. Hope they don't run out of CO2 for the kegs there. But even with something like that first couple of days, just absolutely bananas. Right. So we got some other stuff going on or whatever. And so we're going to go a couple days into it. That way we can still experience it, but we're not hitting like the first Saturday of the state fair type of
no opening ceremony here for Oktoberfest. So we'll get there a few days later and check it out and try a whole bunch of beer there, and German beer and big steins, and Andy might wear a lederhosen. If we get enough people to chime in, how many votes can we get out there from all the viewers and listeners that wants to see Andy in some lederhosen?
I'm not going to do it until I get some people to comment on the podcast, on the social media, YouTube, Facebook, whatever it is that you're checking it out on. Give us some feedback. I'm willing to do it, but only if the people want me to.
The people,
because that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, really. So where were we at here? Germany. Back to Andygator.
Doppelbock. That's where we got to Germany, is the Doppelbock beer.
So in 1986, the Abita Brewing Company was nestled in the piney woods 30 miles north of New Orleans, for those of us that don't think they're cool. First year, they produced 1,500 barrels of beer. That's a pretty good amount for a first year.
Yeah,
absolutely. they created that in their first year. When they first started, it was actually not even in Covington. That's where they're at now, but it was in Abita Springs. So that's kind of where the name Abita comes from. Is that's where they were, Abita Springs, and it's now called the Abita Brew Pub. So it was there. It is now moved across to Covington, Louisiana, but it was founded by Jim Patton and Rush Cumming in 1986. So that's kind of where they started.
It's been around for a little while. For would you consider it a microbrewery? Maybe at one time. Maybe it's a little bigger now. But
yeah,
for like a craft brewery to show up in the 80s was kind of an unheard of type thing. There's very few of them around at the time. So
yeah, and it's always remarkable to me to see like some of the, especially breweries that have been around for a long time. You know what I mean? To see like how they've been able to withstand different levels of different things. Even recently, with the advent of like more like seltzers. Like everything is a seltzer now because everybody's trying to drink light and things like that.
That's all I have to say about a seltzer.
So there's a lot of that going on, right? So you've seen a lot of breweries start to kind of like fade back, and frankly, some of them close and more metro saturated.
Right.
Like that. I think that's more personally. This is me going on my little soapbox of economics. I think that's more of a saturation thing rather than really poor business planning. I mean, I guess is part of business planning is, do I really want to put a brewery here where there's 14 of them within throwing distance of a rock?
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's
right.
So I think it's more of the saturation is just, especially when people are kind of gravitating away from it to a certain extent, not leaving it. I don't think that the craft beer industry is going down, but it's not expanding as much as what it was. I guess that's the way that I'll put it.
Well, I think that's because it's almost oversaturated.
Exactly.
There's so many breweries out there, so many craft brewers out there, which is great. Lots of good stuff, but it's almost like there's too much of it everywhere. It's not kind of like a special thing or a special time where you're going, let's go to the brewery tonight, because they're just kind of everywhere and kind of out there.
You can't make it to all of them.
Right.
You just can't, as much as you try.
That's terrible.
Absolutely.
What is this world coming to where we can't make it to all breweries?
It's a depressing state of affairs is really what it is.
It's terrible.
I didn't really watch the State of the Union the other night, but I'm guessing that wasn't addressed on there, that's just a travesty in and of itself.
We need to band together and email these politicians about craft beer and breweries and what are they doing about it.
I would like to suggest a 3-day work week, paid full time, and then a stipend for the industry.
So we can go to the brewery.
That's what I would like to,
Perfect.
If you'd like to sign that, put that in the comments as well, right below the Lederhosen comment. Go ahead and sign that petition. We'll get that one going and see if we can't get some legislation, built here. So 1986 is when it started, and, they said customers loved our beer. Everybody always says that, but 1986, they're still here now, so... Clearly
they love their beer.
People did like it. By 94, they had outgrown their original site and moved up the road to a larger facility to be able to keep up with demand, which is now a 100-seat brew pub. They brew now, currently, more than 125,000 barrels of beer and 13,500 barrels of soda in their facility.
How much soda?
13,500 barrels.
Wow.
So that's a lot of soda. Sody pop.
Soda. Yeah, what strikes me, you've mentioned soda on our show a handful of times throughout the podcast, and I don't get it. It's pop. You say soda, I say pop. We're in Minnesota.
I'm only
pop.
reading it. I'm only reading what's on there, whatever. I'm a pop guy too. Like trust me, I'm that's me. But I'm just reading what's on there. But part of this is from Louisiana, so like I feel like it
would be
geographically to a certain extent.
Like legitimately, I
think there certain places in the South also where it's like it's not a soda or a pop, it's a Coke. What kind of Coke do you want?
I don't know if
I think it's like
in the
mostly
South.
just Alabama or something.
In Mexico, it's Coke. When I was in Mexico, everything's a Coke. If you want a Coke, they might bring you a Mountain Dew. So you never know. So I know that of like Mexico, everything is a Coke there.
I love a Coke.
Of course, Minnesota here, everything's pop. I think we have to be the only state in the country that specifically calls it pop. But if you say pop in other states, they know what you're talking about.
Right.
But every time you say soda or sody pop, you want to know what the first thing that comes to my mind? And I don't know how many people are going to know this.
You want to throw a bottle at me?
No, I don't ever want to throw a bottle at you, Andy. You've never brought me to that point.
Well, that's good to know.
This is why we have a podcast. This is great. And why we go on to Germany together.
There we go.
Stuff.
Yeah.
So you're all going to think I'm crazy. I think I'm crazy, but every time I hear soda or sody pop, the first thing that comes to my mind is Britney Spears. And you're not going to have any idea why, but I actually own her first album. And on her first album, there's a song called Soda Pop.
Soda Pop.
So every time you say soda or sody pop, that's the first thing that pops into my mind is Britney Spears in that song.
Well, there are worse things to have pop in your mind, I guess, to a certain extent.
My head. I don't know. I don't know. Like, nothing against Britney Spears or her music or anything. Like, I'm a metalhead, and that's what I prefer is hard rock and metal. But every time you say pop or sody pop, it's the first thing that pops into my head is that dang song. Like, it's just going on.
All right.
Sody pop. Anyway, let's go back to Andy's Gator and what you got going on.
I'll have to try to keep that in mind now. If nothing else, I'll have to say it and then wait for the dancing.
I wish we could play the clip of that song, but I'm sure there's copyright things and we would get sued and cease and desist letters and stuff. But look it up. Soda Pop, Britney Spears.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe One More Time album. Why do I know all that? That is the problem, is why do I know that much about Britney Spears?
Well, you do have the album.
Oh, I do, and I have a T-shirt.
Was that your first album that you had bought? Was it a CD? I'm assuming a CD.
It was a CD.
Or was it a cassette tape?
It was a CD. The very first album that I purchased was Space Jam soundtrack.
Oh, that's a good one, though.
Yeah,
I've heard, I think I feel like it won some awards or something, but I've heard that it's really good, but... I mean, it's a great movie. The original one, though. None of this new LeBron James stuff. Like
I haven't even.
That's not worth the digital copy that is happening there.
So the first album that I owned, Poison. It was a cassette tape. Poison. Look what the cat dragged in.
There you go.
What do you got? What's your first album? I know we're getting off track. Andygator beer, great.
It happens. It's Tangent Tuesday on a Monday.
Hey, that's what a podcast is all about. Mm-hmm. Just having a good time, drinking beer, drinking Andygator.
It's possible. That doesn't. Yeah.
Whatever.
It's possible that I even said at the beginning that we talk about whatever. So it's just all over the place.
Hey, this is two guys at a bar drinking beer, talking about whatever that comes to our mind.
There we go. Let's see here. So I know that I had some like cassette tapes prior to this. I know that I had like a Sawyer Brown cassette tape, but I think that it was like my mom had already had that. My dad had a whole pile of records that he had, and I didn't really recognize any of them. I know he had like a Beach Boys 8-track, kind of some of those kind of bits.
Yep. That's Kurt for everybody. Kurt. Mm-hmm. Cheers to Kurt.
Yep. Cheers to Kurt. He's one of the biggest supporters as well.
He
likes, shares, subsbs. I'm not sure if he ever listens to it, but
probably doesn't.
He shares it more than anybody else that's out there.
Probably too busy for listening.
Let's see here. What else did I have? I probably had a New Kids on the Block cassette tape when I was younger, because I mean I was that age, and I was probably 8-9 years old when that whole thing blew up at that time or whatever, and it was a big thing. But the first that one I probably got as a gift, or something, like parents gave me some money to like stop talking and just buy the thing.
The right stuff.
Oh, absolutely. There we go. It's a very musical episode today is what's happening. But what was, let's see here, the first album that I actually purchased, I had my own money, may have just been, it wasn't really an allowance. Like I worked on a farm, so I like cleaned the house, had to do chores, doing all the different stuff or whatever. I definitely overpaid 100%, but it was still worth it. This would have been in the early to mid 90s. So we're talking like 93, 94.
Perfect.
I bought a fairly scratched up version of Queen's Greatest Hits. The Purple album that had like 2 discs and like 30 songs and stuff like that. Thus started my love for Fat Bottom Girls and Bicycle Race. Oh, just such great ones or whatever. But I paid, I think, $25 to a buddy that had it. Like, he had already bought it, and he's like, well, I'll sell it to you, but I don't think he wanted to get rid of it. So he probably just took that money, went and bought it another one and lunch, because it was the mid-90s.
Like 94.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got screwed out of that deal.
100%.
But
absolutely.
Queen is an amazing band, and that's actually the second album I ever purchased was Queen Greatest Hits.
There you go.
you got to have it. Why does anybody remember that? I probably couldn't tell you my third or fourth, but for whatever reason, I remember the first 2.
Yeah, that first really set that stage. And I think mine, I think I remember just because obviously Queen I've liked forever or whatever, but I got screwed on the deal. I think that's probably why I remember it. Even at the moment, I was like, I'm paying way too much for this or whatever. But, I mean, of course, in the mid-90s, this was before a lot of internet stuff. I didn't, I think I bought a computer maybe 2-3 years after that, but you weren't downloading things on LimeWire or anything like that. You didn't really know what was happening. And where I live, like, we were probably, which is funny, because like now I drive to work for my regular job 35 minutes one way. It's not a problem. That's just what I do. But at that time, to go and get this album, to be able to buy it in a store, would have been a 30-ish, 25 to 30-minute drive to go to Media Play or Best Buy.
Sure.
Likely Media Play, because that was the thing. That was the ticket at the time. And so, at that time, there wasn't a lot of like driving around. There wasn't a lot like people didn't do like massive road trips. They didn't work hours away. They wasn't, maybe they did. I guess I grew up on a farm, so driving to town, which was 2.5 miles away, was a big trip. And so we just never did that. So I think that was the other part of it too, is I was like, when am I going to get all the way to St. Cloud? It's so far away. And now I drive to St. Cloud like, I don't know, half of my days, just because it's there.
Right.
I'm going to go get Chipotle for lunch. Like, no big deal. So, okay, now back to
Andygator.
Try to let's rein it in here. We need to have like somebody out here with like sticks, kind of like
cards,
absolutely
whatever.
Get us rein back in here.
Airport runway, like waving the sticks, like no, back over this way.
Exactly.
Yep.
So the company brews its beer with water from artesian wells.
What the hell is that? Because water is water to me. So
I think that
can you explain?
I know that there's different. There is different kind of waters, because like we have like super hard rusty water here. Different places have like naturally soft water, or if you've ever had like spring water out of like a full on spring. There used to be one up by Grand Rapids. It's amazing water.
It's pretty tasty. I've had some over in Wisconsin.
And so I think that likely, I'm guessing that if they outgrew their original tap room, they were probably making a decent amount of money. And so it wasn't a matter of like, what existing building should we buy, or what, what infrastructure should we get to be able to just move into? Sure. Whereas they probably went around and tried to find areas that had specific kind of waters. You see that actually with the sweatshirt I'm wearing right now. Certainly, when they built their new tap room, which is kind of by the Dinkytown area, almost, it's a little bit off like U of M campus, they actually went around a bunch of different. Why they ended up where they're at right now is it was the same water table. So that way their beer would taste the same. Because really,
that makes
the water's the base
Believe
for
it or
everything.
Not, it makes a massive difference.
I know some breweries, they will, whatever water they take, they will strip it completely down to essentially like distilled water, and then add flavoring back in, or minerals or whatever back in, to actually develop that flavor of the water to be able to get the beer to taste the way.
True.
So,
yep.
So that's part of the thing too. How you figure out that it's artesian wells that are there, that I have no idea. I don't know if they just like randomly go around town and like, can I use your bathroom? And then take a Dixie cup and, like try to sip the water.
Sure.
I don't know how that, process goes, but,
we've got some artesian wells over there in New Orleans brewing some good beer.
Now, we are drinking the Andygator Doppelbock, as we may have mentioned a couple of times here, but in August of 2005, Stuff magazine, Stuff magazine, highly, acclaimed by somebody.
That's
Stuff.
kind of a nice title. Stuff.
Yeah,
Man.
I feel like
this
I've
podcast stuff.
I feel
Two
like I've
guys and
seen it or
stuff.
read it at one point in time, but I don't really know where. 2005, Stuff magazine called Abita's Turbo Dog Ale. They got some fun names.
Turbo Dog.
Turbo Dog Ale was the best beer made in America, according to Stuff. Which I get it.
Has anybody heard of Stuff?
But I'm always kind of like when they do national rankings, and you've probably seen them on, pop up on, the Facebook algorithm, how it creeps into your life, or just on different things or whatever, like the top beers in America. How do you quantify what is the best tasting beer? It's very subjective as far as like what you personally like. But then on the other side, like, are you traveling across the country and trying all of them? And if you are, how do you rate them? And if you are, how can I be your assistant?
Yeah, right. Employ us.
Just
we'll
asking for a friend. So it's always weird when I see things like that, because it's like you're obviously taking different ratings from different people all over the place, and just trying to piece it together. Like, of course, in 2005, there probably wasn't a million breweries like there is now. Like, it's not quite the same deal, but at the same time, probably a lot of them. And even if there's only a handful of them, there's one in this state and one in that state and one in that state and one in some other states. You know what I mean? Like, not like you're just going to go to like the Minneapolis area and go to 47 of them.
Right.
But either way, Turbo Dog Ale, named the best
Turbo
one
Dog Ale.
in 2005. Abita Brewery was listed among the top 10 spring beers by Fox News in 2012. So, Abita Doppelbock, I don't know it's the same one, but it could be. Highly rated by Fox News.
Perfect.
So, there we go.
Fox News.
Andygator.
Woo. Mainstream media. Here we go. Yay. Yeehaw. I'll take a drink to that, I guess.
Let's see here. Abita in 2011 brewed over 130,000 barrels of beer.
Jeepers.
And 5,000 barrels of root beer.
Root beer.
I like me some root beer. I had some cream soda the other day. I went to what is the sub place? Jersey Mike's.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic place.
Sure.
But they have like their own like agave cream soda. I don't know what makes it agave cream soda, if they actually put like agave into it, or that's the sweetener or whatever. But they make their own root beer. They make their own like couple of different, soda pops.
That's all I think.
Got him. But I had the cream soda with that one, and it's just fantastic.
I might have to do a
So
karaoke
good.
on the episode of
There we
Soda
go.
Pop. Britney Spears Soda Pop.
I like
sung
it.
by me.
There we go.
You really don't want to hear me sing, though. My voice is low, monotone. Me singing Britney Spears just isn't good.
That's what we're gonna put in the
good.
in the comments right below the episode. Once this goes live, we're gonna have
Do you want to see
the
Sean
voting
sing at Britney Spears?
That what do you want to see the most? Do you want to see Sean doing a cover of Britney Spears, or me in a lederhosen? Those are
Or maybe both.
these are yeah exactly. Both or neither. Those are your four options: A, B, C, D.
Perfect.
That's what it's gonna be. So yeah, make sure to check that out in the comments and vote for whatever. Let's see here. August of 2013, because they are doing so much business, they expanded once again. They added another 200-barrel brewing system to their already existing 100-barrel system, increasing the capacity from 150 bottles per minute to 400 bottles per minute.
Wow.
That is quite the upgrade.
That's insane.
They have 17 year-round flagship. Stop. Rewind. Try again. They have 17 year-round flagship brews. The first one, Andygator.
Oh, really? Andygator. Perfect.
Andygator, Strawgator, Abita Amber, Alpha Gator Golden, Light, Turbo Dog, Purple Haze, Giacomo IPA, and Restoration Pale Ale. I feel like that wasn't 17, but that's what they had listed here. And then 5 seasonal beers, 3 harvest beers, 4 big beers, and then some other draft-only ones that they have just on premise. So, that's kind of quite the expansion that they've been able to get over the course of the handful of years. And again, just starting in Abita Springs and then moving over to Covington. They are privately owned and operated by local shareholders who many who've been there since day one. So
cool.
Kind of a locally owned and a small group that's there. So kind of a lot of fun with that. They use British and North American malted barley, German and American yeast strains, Pacific Northwest hops, and pure artesian water of Abita Springs. So
nice.
Clearly they're getting the water still from Abita Springs. So I don't know if they still have their tap room or their facility there where they're just drawing the water to be able to brew this. But they are blessed with the purest of water drawn from the deep wells. The pristine water is not altered in any way. So we talked before about some places will bring that one down through like reverse osmosis, but they just don't. They just go ahead and put it in there. No preservatives, additives, stabilizers, and it's cold filtered. So none of the other extra stuff. And it's just ends up with a fresh tasting beer. So
perfect.
That's kind of what they have going on there. So if you want to check it out, Covington, Louisiana, they got tap room there. But otherwise, that's kind of what's the story with Abita.
Might have to be another trip.
Is that going to be part of the summer tour?
The summer tour, yeah. Well, of course, we say this every episode, but we need to actually make it reality.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure we will. And, spring has just begun, so we have a couple months here. We can hit some breweries and take some clips and photos and get some breweries on our podcast. Is fully intent to get the owners of some of the breweries on our show. So
absolutely.
We'll see
and if you own a brewery or are involved in one, definitely reach out to us and let us know. We'd be able to have you on the brewery. Have your brewery on the podcast is, I think, the way that the English phrase goes for that. But we'd love to be able to have you on and be able to kind of be a part of, what we do here.
Sharing your story about beer and where you started and how it goes. And it's very interesting stuff. Yeah.
I always love being able to kind of get that background, which is, I guess, kind of where we are right now, is why we kind of enjoy that. But I really always just... It's always remarkable to me, like kind of like learn that long history, of where they started and where they've, some of the battles that they've had to, fight and why they decided for the location that they're at and, what's went well for them and, just if nothing else, even what their expansions looked like. I mean, we talked about this one, jumping to, a massive amount of, the 400 bottles per minute, 130,000, bottles or barrels per year. It says that it's sold in 46 states and Puerto Rico and is the 15th largest craft brewery and 24th largest brewery of any category, ranked by volume sold in 2010.
Wow.
So
that's impressive. Very impressive.
It's really fun to be able to see that. They're also served actually at Disney's Port of New Orleans, located at Walt Disney World in Orlando. So they're also there too. So a lot of good places to be able to get that. So a lot of good information, a lot of fun. We learned a little bit about some Bach. The flavor, not the city.
Or the musician.
Yep. Johann Sebastian
Bach.
Sebastian, I don't know. I feel like you have some papers that are highlighted.
It could be the 80s Sebastian Bach.
Oh, yep.
With why can't I think of the band?
See, all I can remember is he was in the show Gilmore Girls for like a little word.
She's only 17.
Let's see here, Sebastian Bach.
What is the name of that band? Holy crap. I am terrible. Usually I'm spot on with my music knowledge.
Skid Row.
Skid Row, there you go. Yeah, not to be confused with Skid Row and Sebastian Bach.
Right.
Or the Bach from the classical music.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, Johann Sebastian.
There you go,
yeah.
Johann.
Yeah, this is just regular Bach, and this is actually Helles Doppelbock. Double Bach for those,
So I wanted to share you a story about, since this is named Andygator, about gators.
And
it may have been crocodiles. I I don't know the difference between crocodiles and gators. I know they look a little different. I've seen them side by side.
Well, were you going to see them after a while or later?
Before.
Oh, okay.
This is pretense. This is pretense. So I went, we took our family, we went on a road trip a couple years ago. Our second stop was New Orleans. Great city, great food. It smells a little funny for like 2 hours, but you get used to it because the food's great, the beer's great.
It's like hanging out with me.
I don't even know what to say to that. I don't know if your food's great, but
we'll
just
food. The paddles. We're gonna get back online here, then we'll carry on with New Orleans.
Great place, great food, super friendly people, a lot of fun. Well, one of the days we were there, we wanted to go on one of those airboat tours in the swamps and get in the nitty gritty and see some alligators in the wild or crocodiles. And I'm sorry, I don't recall exactly which one is there. But we were on an airboat tour, cruising around through that stuff, and come up a bunch of gators down there, and you're throwing them marshmallows because they don't process sugar like we do. So you just throw them marshmallows. They think it's meat because marshmallows have the same consistency as like a meat if you were to throw them a chicken or something. So they don't have a clue. But anyways, we were going through this stuff, looking at gators, having a good time with the family and the kids. And the guy in the airboat tour cut the engine, and he's like, "Oh, we're going to pet them now." And I'm like, "Well, we're going to pet them."
You're going to what now?
Okay. Didn't bother me too bad. But so he would throw a marshmallow in there, and once the marshmallow would hit the water, that noise, their eyes would pop up, and they'd be coming on over, and they would eat the marshmallow. Well, he would throw the marshmallow over here. It would make that popping sound. The gator would go by the boat, and he said, once your head passes you, then just put your hand in the water and put your hand down his back. But he's like, you have to wait until the head passes you. Do not do it before. Wait until the head is past you.
Which makes sense, but I'm not doing either.
And then put your hand down. Well, I did. Our whole family actually did. Until it became the youngest daughter's turn. She put her hand in. Everything was fine. Well, of course, the guy that did our airboat tour was just awesome, hilarious, fun guy. Well, he's all like, "Ah!" Like just went nuts. Right when our youngest daughter put her hand in the water to touch the alligator, and of course she jumped up and was like, "Ah!" Like freaked out, went crazy. But that was a good time anyways down there in New Orleans. Airboat tour with the alligators and stuff. So that's my little story. One story I have about being in New Orleans, since it goes with the Andygator beer. So that was pretty fun.
I like it.
With that.
I like it. Beer's pretty good though.
It is pretty good.
I think I still probably am thinking it'd be kind of a one. I mean, maybe two. But again, like we said before, like with something to bring some flavors out, and
definitely for sure. I would. I do enjoy the beer. I would drink the beer again. I would recommend people try it, but I think definitely it would be better with some food. Bring some flavors out. Do something. Definitely not on a hot day. After you mow the lawn, you don't want to slam a few of these. And if you did, you're going to feel it pretty quick, more than likely.
Oh, absolutely. Sure. Absolutely.
So I came across this thing, a couple weeks ago. I thought it was kind of funny. I kind of wanted to share with people. I read all the time. I read stupid shit all the time. My family makes fun of me. My wife makes fun of me. Like, "Oh, where'd you read that, Sean? Where'd you read that? What article did you read today?" Because that's what I always say at home. Like, guess what I read? I read this article the other day. So I'm always reading dumb shit, bunch of useless knowledge. So I thought this article would have been fun to share with everybody. So the Venus flytrap. Interesting plant.
It really is.
Kind of fun to watch. They catch flies and bugs and munch them down and close down.
Remember at one point in time, like 150 years ago, when we both worked at Walmart, that we actually got a couple of those in Lawn and Garden.
So it's interesting.
We couldn't get them to close though,
because I was going to suggest that. See,
like I'm visionary, visionary again. That's it.
Telepathic information here. So yes, Walmart does carry Venus flytraps, and you can buy them there. I don't recall the cost, but we did try to eat them, and we didn't eat the Venus flytrap, but we tried to get them to clamp and close, and to no avail.
Right.
It didn't work too well. But North Carolina, this is pretty interesting here. There's Venus flytrap poachers in North Carolina.
How do you
That's why I thought I had to bring this up. So apparently there's a Venus flytrap poacher. I didn't know a Venus flytrap was a thing that you needed to poach.
Is there a bunch of wild ones running around that we're not aware of?
There is.
I feel like it's like I'm a potato poacher.
Sure.
Pretty tough to find it.
So
didn't run away from you, did it?
Not too quickly. So there is wild Venus flytraps in North Carolina, which I learned because I had to dig naturally.
Oh, that's a rabbit hole I'd fall down.
Goofy article. I just had to dig into Venus flytraps a little bit. So North Carolina does have some wild Venus flytraps, but what caught my attention was poaching. Like I don't correlate poaching with a plant and like Venus flytraps because
that's the other side of it. What do you get out of it?
You can literally buy one at Walmart, which 90% of the American population lives within 10 minutes of a Walmart. So why are we poaching Venus flytraps?
Right.
I don't know, but there was a couple poachers in North Carolina that faced warrants for taking hundreds of this plant. Apparently this plant is pretty rare in the wild. In Bowling Springs, North Carolina is where these plants are. So authorities in North Carolina, they obtained arrest warrants for 2 people in a poaching case involving hundreds of Venus flytraps, which grow naturally in the eastern part of the state. And I've been to North Carolina 4 or 5 times, and I had no clue that Venus flytraps
You dodged a bullet.
were natural.
Your life was on the line.
What if I got eaten?
You don't even know what you were walking into.
It's like Mario Brothers. It comes up.
You would have got you.
That plant.
Chompy plant.
So, no clue. So officers over there, they obtained arrest warrants for 2 people accused of stealing 600 of the rare plants. Apparently, they're rare.
But what do you get out of it? Like, just because it's rare, like, do they, squeeze the...
How can it be rare if you can buy it at your local Walmart?
Right? And I'm sure there's probably maybe, like, different strains or something. Maybe it's a tiger one or something. I don't...
Yeah.
I'm
how
about that?
Real sure. So it's
poaching plants.
Poaching Venus flytrap plants. So it's not clear if these people have been arrested, but warrants were issued in North Carolina for these people. Venus flytraps are native to southeastern North Carolina. So apparently, when they grow naturally and grow in the wild, there's only a 100-mile radius that they're growing, or natural in the wild, is in North Carolina. There's a 100-mile radius where they grow in Wilmington, North Carolina. I don't know if that's the entire world or if the United States, but it sounds like that's the only place they just grow.
See, my mind is even going down like the weird and twisted path of like the guy that figured out that, like, Sean, do you know what's going on here? This is the Horatio Caine moment where he takes the glasses off and makes some like really dramatic comment of like, guess they didn't get chomped or something, like, whatever it is, because they have now figured out that this is the old Criminal Minds. He's like, we need to deliver the profile.
We need a Venus flytrap.
These guys are poaching hundreds. Like that moment, like what was in the room when they figured out that like we have stumbled across something big. But at the same time, they know that like this is going to get out, and we're going to be on every morning show in the country.
Well, what's big about a Venus flytrap? Apparently, this time of year they like flower. I know that they grow flowers and they start to bud, and it's easier to find them. And apparently, they increase patrols this time of year to go after the Venus flytrap poachers. I'm
still just bewildered by the poaching thing, because when I think poaching, I'm thinking like, all right, you're getting like the pelt out of it, or you're getting like a mount that you can get out of it, or you're selling an exotic bird or something like that, like something that you've, like you can't readily get, or it's hard to be able to get. This sounds like you just go to that region and walk along County Road U, and I found one.
Pluck up a Venus flytrap.
It seems it's not running away. It's not taking off. Is it going to bite you? Maybe that's what it is. It's a dangerous work. This guy's got like 3 fingers.
Yeah,
or something.
I don't know.
This is bewildering to me.
It's just crazy. I don't have much more information.
I'm with you. My mind is like.
Apparently,
I got all sorts of stuff going on.
Maybe they're only native and wild in that 100-mile radius in North Carolina in the United States of a wild native Venus flytrap. Kind of like in Arizona, the Joshua Tree Forest, if you've heard of that. Mm-hmm. Everybody's probably heard of the term Joshua Tree because of the band U2,
right.
The album Joshua Tree.
YouTube?
YouTube?
Oh, okay.
U2.
Oh, those guys. Yeah.
The band I don't think anybody really likes, but if it's on the radio, you just kind of jam to it,
Well, apparently they have this massive residency in Vegas for in the Sphere or whatever.
The Sphere,
yeah. But I'm with you though. I never really seek it out. But if it's on,
it's good stuff.
It's kind of like we were talking about the sports that like you're not necessarily seeking it out, but if you happen across it, like an hour later, you're like, why am I still like, what's happening?
Right, you're jamming and drinking Andygator, listening to U2.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, Joshua Tree Forest is in Arizona. That's the only place in the world where a Joshua tree actually grows. So maybe this is similar. Maybe in Wilmington, North Carolina, that's the only place a Venus flytrap grows naturally.
Oh, interesting.
So
Venus flytrap poaching.
Yeah, apparently it's a felony. And they were.
I mean, why wouldn't it be?
Apparently, we're harvesting 590 plants or something like that. So yeah, I thought that was funny to share that Venus flytrap poaching. Yeah. Great stuff.
Yeah. Huh. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
I mean,
I'll drink to that.
Good luck to you, I guess.
Drink to that.
I wonder what the market is for something like that. If you're selling the whole plant, or if you're selling like the parts of it, or I don't know. I'm gonna have to spend some time on the dark web tomorrow.
And what are you paying?
That's what I'm gonna do.
Next time we get them at a Walmart, I'll remember the price, and I'll let everybody know the price of a Venus flytrap.
That's true.
They're super small though. Walmart, they're not very big.
Maybe these ones are like the size of sunflowers, and
maybe they eat owls.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know.
I just could be certainly at least small vermin, squirrels, chipmunks.
Sure.
Could be any number of things. Small children. So, no, maybe not. Maybe hopefully not small children.
Yeah, we better save the kids.
Yep.
It's all for the kids.
Exactly. So one more thing I wanted to kind of touch on just a little bit here. So we're drinking this Andygator and enjoying it, and we're also talking a little bit about the lawn mowing effect. You know what I mean? Like having kind of a refreshing beer. But it got me kind of thinking a little bit, because I've heard this a little bit. We talked a little bit about the monks before with the Bock beers and using it as nutrition. Is it good for you in certain ways, just nutritional value?
Oh, beer, yes.
And, like now that the weather's starting to get a little bit nicer, people are outside a little bit more. And, I would think that maybe my softball team thinks that beer's really good for them, because there's a little beer that we have when we're playing softball. A little bit that goes down, so it's
a little bit.
It clearly must be good there.
8 or 9 beers.
But I am also involved in the brewery running series, which give a little shout out to them. They're like run far, drink local brewery running series. So they're in like 14 states or 20 states or something now. They started just here in Minnesota. Just a fantastic organization. Anyway, so like beer and running doesn't always sound like it would correlate at all. So is there nutritional value to being able to do that? And I looked up a couple of different things, and I had heard this once before maybe, but I wanted to verify it because now that the weather's being nice, I actually ran yesterday. I did 1 mile, 0 out of 5 stars. Do not recommend. It's terrible plan. But it is starting to get to be kind of that running season where there's going to be some of that shenanigans happening later on. I am not doing the full marathon in Berlin. That is just Amanda. She can do that foolishness. I'm a half-asser, so I'm just doing a half in June. So that's a way different thing. Anyway, so what they say is, although it's a bit of a stretch for it to be good for people, it does contain vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, polyphenols, electrolytes, carbs, and a little bit of protein. So it is actually not bad. In some ways, it's actually a decent recovery drink, and almost it's better than water just because of the stuff that it has in it.
Sure.
I mean, then we go into the fact of moderation. You know, if you run 5 miles and you have 14 beers, the ratio might be off just a little bit.
What's moderation?
Well, it's the process of not running 5 miles because that's too much.
I concur with that.
Right. So, they talk about, that they have some carbs in it, which are important for distance runners, and a post-workout drink. You have to replenish some of that you've, burned off because, when you do the running stuff or whatever, it takes quite a bit out of you. So, it has some electrolytes, which are also in sports drinks. And, you've been sweating for a long time. So this has got a lot of the stuff that you would have in it. Lighter beer is probably a little bit better, but at the same time, like really any beer has a lot of the things that you would need to try to replenish, nutrient wise.
Sure.
To be able to actually work as kind of a nice post-run or post-workout type of drink. It gets kind of that, okay, you're just going to the bar and getting, whatever. But really it's has some health benefits, with that. Some of those health benefits include, again, let me just review this. There are some potential health benefits of beer when your alcohol consumption is at low to moderate levels.
What is that?
Less than 5 miles. So some of those things in the moderation or the low to moderate reduces LDL cholesterol levels and increases HDL, so it reduces bad cholesterol and it improves good cholesterol. It reduces the risk of heart disease and improves heart health as long as you drink it in moderation. Potentially helps with blood sugar regulation. It actually suggests beer drinkers who have a light to moderate intake may have lower risk to insulin resistance and developing type 2 diabetes.
Wow.
Again.
So drink more beer if you're afraid of diabetes.
Right.
In moderation, whatever that means. Less than 5 miles.
I'm going to save this one for last because that's going to be my favorite one. But I'll go to the next one here. Reducing bacterial buildup in your mouth and teeth because it's got a lot of the stuff in there.
Because beer.
The hops used to make beers have been found to confer anti-inflammatory properties in the body because of compounds in hops interfere with the production of inflammatory ketones.
Maybe
that's
I
not
should
how
drink
that's
a beer
that's not
after
how that's
I play basketball.
Yeah, that sounds what it's.
Yeah.
Cytokines. There we go. That's the word. Not ketones. Cytokines.
I agree with whatever you say.
Cytokines.
I'm terrible with the English language. So.
It helps preserve bone mineral density and reduces the risk of osteoporosis and bone fractures. And my favorite, which we have talked numerous times on the old podcast, increasing creativity and problem-solving ability.
Cheers.
You heard it here first,
Cheers
folks.
to that. I will drink another sip to that.
This via the Marathon Handbook website, marathonhandbook.com.
Perfect. That's just amazing. So the bottom line is drink more beer.
It's good for you.
It's good for the body.
It's
It's good for the mind, the body, the soul. In apparently moderation, whatever that means.
Yep.
Less than 5 miles.
Yep. Less than 5 miles.
We learned that.
That's the key.
Perfect.
So yeah, that's what I got here.
One
Sean,
more
do you
thing.
have additional?
I got one
what
thing.
Else?
One thing.
What
I
else
wanted,
you got here?
In fact, I brought it. I was scrolling on the Facebook. I'm on there. That's the only social media I really do. I don't do a lot of the other social media unless it's for the podcast. But for my personal thing, I'm on the Facebook a little bit. I like to do the Facebook. And a fact came scrolling by about Nintendo, of all things. I had a Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a Nintendo?
I did not have the original Nintendo.
I'm talking the 8-bit Nintendo.
No, I had
the
these,
OG.
I had these Super Nintendo, but I never had the original Nintendo. I was not that. I also had a Wii at one point. I actually still have that.
I still have
I think
a Wii,
both of
too.
them are actually still in my house. They're not hooked up to my TV right now.
We should bring one in here and play some bowling one of these times.
That might happen.
That would be. And we could record that, and we could put that on.
That's what I should do.
Two guys in beer.
Why am I not doing that?
Two
I got a
guys in
treadmill.
beer, Wii bowling.
I got a treadmill out there that Amanda can go running on. I'll just do Wii bowling while what am I thinking?
That sounds
missing out
great.
on, mistakes were made. It's fine.
Mistakes are made. Don't worry about it. We'll improve in the future.
Yep.
We'll do some Wii bowling.
Exactly. Yep. It's all coming together.
So the original Nintendo, the 8-bit Nintendo, I was fortunate enough to have one. That company almost went out of business before it blew up into this big video game business. And where it was renting, it couldn't. The original company couldn't pay his rent. Well, the owner of that facility where they couldn't pay rent, he's like, don't worry about it. Just pay me when you can. This is the fact. His name is Mario.
Perfect.
Where do you think they got their name from?
Oh
Mario
my
Brothers.
God! Absolutely.
Because
100%.
Mario, who rented this facility to Nintendo, said, don't worry, pay me next month. We'll figure it out. Because they made it big and it worked out for them, they decided to name Mario in the Mario Brothers game after the guy they rented a facility from.
Absolutely. I mean, really, why wouldn't you?
How cool is that? So
Yeah,
Mario,
I wonder if that guy, other than renting the facility, I wonder if that guy seen any benefits from that, or if they gave him like a memorial plaque that had like his name on it.
they should do all of the above.
You know what I mean? Like something out of the deal.
They should do all of the above. So did you ever play the 8-bit Nintendo? I'm assuming you did.
Yeah, 100%.
What's your favorite
I just didn't
game?
have it.
Favorite game? Can you think of a favorite game that you played on the Nintendo Entertainment System?
I mean, Duck Hunt was always a classic. I did like the original Mario Brothers, but Mario 3, I think, was probably my banger.
Mario 3
That
was stellar.
That was probably my thing. Between that and probably that, yeah, because like I liked Duck Hunt, but I wasn't very good at it.
Sure.
So I think I liked the idea of that.
Then the dog would laugh at you.
Exactly.
It was ridiculous. And
Little
you wanted to shoot the dog, but the
little
game wouldn't let
asshole.
you shoot the
Exactly. My dog laughs at me right now. He doesn't. He's more mocks me other ways, but that's fine.
animals.
I
That's
know.
what they do.
Kids these days.
So I don't have a favorite game. I have a really hard time picking one out on Nintendo, so I'm going to name 3.
Mm-hmm.
Contra.
Okay. See, I never played that.
Oh, my gosh.
I know.
Oh.
I never did.
Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA start. 30 lives. Great.
Nailed it.
The original, the OG Tecmo Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Hardcore game there. Lawrence Taylor, Bo Jackson. Blow that game up.
I don't think I ever played that, but I did play like the Super Tecmo Bowl on. I know it's a different one, but that was, I would always run like the little like shotgun to the corner, and then nobody was ever covering anything and just throw it down the field.
Like Super Tecmo Bowl was good, and it probably has a bigger following, but the original Tecmo Bowl,
that was key.
The original Tecmo Bowl is like where it's at. And the third game between the 3 that I can't decide that I played a lot of was Blades of Steel, which of course was a hockey game, the funnest game ever. You'd get in fights and you'd fight and you'd take the other person out. Those 3 games I can't decide, but those would be like the top of my list. Thank you, Mario, for allowing Nintendo to stay in business and use your facility.
Absolutely.
I'm
appreciate you.
Drink some Andygator to that.
Cheers to Mario. Yeah, I was unaware of some of the. Yeah, I don't know that game, but I like it though.
Blades of Steel?
Yeah,
Well, guess what?
I'm unaware of that one.
I'm going to bring it, and we're going to
There you go. Do you have the OG Nintendo?
I've got 3 of them.
Oh, that's amazing. You have 3 of them? Why would you have 3 of them?
Because I found some in a garage sale, so I bought them.
Why wouldn't you? The logic tracks. The math adds up on that one. I'm with you.
I like garage sales sometimes, so yeah.
I'm totally with you. I have my Super Nintendo. I have a couple of different things. But you know what my favorite game was, though? So I was never much of a gamer. I'm self-admittedly, I don't have a PS5. I don't have, like, when I say that I have a Super Nintendo and a Wii, those are the 2 that I ever had. Like, I never had it. My brother had a PlayStation, like the original one, for like a little while.
Yep.
I never got into any of that. That was just never my thing. I was always doing a million other things, and I just never had time to, like, sit and game. It was never, I don't know, I just couldn't wrap my head around doing that.
Well, you're living on a farm, you're busy, tending to a lot of things. So.
And I thought I was going to be good at basketball, so I was always outside shooting hoops, and I was still, I did that much working out playing basketball, and I'm still this bad. I know. It's that bad. Anyway, so like Super Nintendo, like I played a lot of that or whatever, like Super Mario Brothers, of course, the classic one for that one when it came out. I had a couple of different games, over the course of the years, but Ken Griffey Baseball.
Okay. Yep.
Like name a better baseball. Like that game was so, but don't though, because I like my story, just as it was. But that game was so great. Like it was like one of the first ones you could create like your own teams. Right, and of course it was like my high school baseball team, my JV baseball team, like Mitch and Mike and who else was on that? I don't know, Zach was on that team and Joe. I mean, like we had like all the guys that like I played baseball with, what I mean? Like that was the team that we had, and of course, like I don't want to play the 100, you could play the season thing. That was one of the first things you could do that too. I never played the full thing. Of course, I don't want to play 162 games. I played the 23 game schedule.
Yeah.
I go like 22-1.
Has anybody actually played the full season on any baseball video game? Oh my! I'm sure there is somewhere. I tried with the game that I think is better. It's called World Series Baseball for Sega Genesis, but I think I failed miserably at getting to 163 games. And
the thing about it is, like, that was in that era that like you play like Madden now, like you can play an entire game in like 20 minutes. Like it flies by now. That game, when you would play a full baseball game, it would take you an hour to be able to do it. So it wasn't just like because you had to do all the things. You'd steal and you'd, round, base runners around second, trying to get them to, move up a base. Like it was a lot small ball, like all the things, so trying to be able to get that all to work. And everybody, I don't think a single team had like their players at all, except for Ken Griffey.
Sure.
But all of the teams were represented. That was pre-Tampa Bay and
Colorado,
Arizona.
Miami. Yeah, that was way before.
Yeah, it was before any of those. So those didn't exist at all. But the old good old days.
Yeah.
Way, way back when. God, I was good at that game. So good at that. And maybe I was actually subpar at that game, but I would just beat the crap out of my brother in that game.
Hey, that's all worth it.
And then, you know what? That made me whole right here.
Peter?
It really just,
Pete, are you listening?
He's currently trying to figure out how to send viruses to the computer.
Pete, do you listen to the full podcast?
I guess we'll find out.
He follows the TikTok. Hey, we're on TikTok. Peter follows the TikTok.
There you go. Perfect.
Yep.
There we are. All right. Well, that's all I got. Ending on a high note of harassing my brother. How do you get better than that?
That's always a good time. Hey, Pete.
Somebody's gonna tell him that. He's gonna be like, "What the hell is you saying?" He's gonna realize, like, wait, he has a podcast?
Right.
That'll be the conversation that's gonna be happening right now. But that's fine. It's fine. Like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends.
Do it all. Watch the YouTube. We got the video podcast on the YouTube. All major audio platforms, whatever, you can find us everywhere.
Abita Brewing, Andygator Doppelbock. That was today.
Good beer. Thanks a lot for them. I appreciate their beer.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on here with the Two Guys in Beer. We're still kind of working our way through a bunch of different things, but we're looking to get out into the community, if you will, and by community, not necessarily nearby, but into the beer community. Looking at a couple of like on-site recordings possibly coming up here a little bit, and trying to get some additional people maybe be able to be involved. We've now I got a couple of people that want to be on the podcast, and we want to be able to get some of their expertise. Brandon, we've talked about numerous times that his beer knowledge, I almost don't want to have him on because we're gonna get him on here.
We'll just watch him
and
talk.
We'll watch
him talk with you guys.
I'm gonna start talking about stuff, and he's going to immediately. Well, actually,
right. You guys are dumb. Let me explain to you how all this goes.
Exactly. He's going to tell us the real answers.
We'll just
for
drink
everything.
his beer while he talks.
I'm 100% with that. That will be the episode of Olive Street Brewing, is what that'll be.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yep, 100%. We'll have that one at one point in time. So, but yeah, we'll have a lot of stuff going on, and make sure you're telling everybody about it. We're on all the major platforms. Really, all the platforms, But
everywhere. We're everywhere.
Now we got the video, as you can see, with our nice fancy studio with the whatever it is.
It's a green screen, of course.
So if you see through my beer, that's probably what's going on there. But at least I'm not wearing pajama pants this time, even though I was mocked a little bit. It's fine.
That's fine. Bring it.
Yep. Give the comments. Bring the comments. Like, put them all in the response there, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're at. Give us feedback on that. We love to be able to hear from you. So, Sean, what else you got?
No, I appreciate everybody for listening, all the support. It's a good time. We're having a hell of a time doing this podcast. It's all for good fun. We just love drinking beer. We love talking. We love just having a good time. Nothing serious about this podcast. Have a good time. I appreciate everybody listening. Get yourself some Andygator if it's available in your area. It's a good place. I appreciate everybody for listening. Thanks a lot, man. And cheers. God bless everybody. And thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll talk to everybody soon here on another episode of Two Guys in a Beer podcast. Until then, cheers.
Cheers.